Hello, and welcome back to Arcurus Plays Arma 3 Laws of War campaign. We are going to do one of the final combat missions of this campaign.
Special type, too. Very distinctive.
Remnants of the firefight. The one you've been telling me about.
That's right.
And Alexis. He'd been there.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I just met a guy claiming to have known him.
Oh man, this one's kind of hard too.
So, this firefight, it was... Just let me check the calendar. 8 days ago?
Yeah. Day of the NATO invasion. After the flashpoint on Stratis, there was chaos. Nobody seemed to know what to do. Finally, NATO got their act together, launched an assault on the Altis mainland.
And CSAT?
Caught off guard by the whole thing. They were there to fight guerrillas, not start World War III. So when CSAT dropped their support, government forces panicked. They were on the back foot. Needed to regroup. Major Gavras was put in charge, but it was a tall order. Gavras tried to fortify their position in the northwest, but it was a risk, and he ended up cut off. The guerrillas, they didn't hesitate, stormed its position, sent the survivors running.
Okay, and if you don't mind me asking, how did you come to hear this?
Costas Dimitriou, a lieutenant, and the major's adjutant. Along with Gavras, the two of them were trying to make it to a helivac.
So now we actually get to finally see something from the AF perspective as well.
Move 200 meters, front.
You say they were trying to make it.
Mm-hmm. NATO took it out.
How?
Fast mover, 400 meters, west.
Tank buster. At that point, they had air supremacy. Caught it on the hop.
Did they have another plan?
Not exactly, but they decided to make a stand at the church.
Move 200 meters, front. Helicopter, 200 meters,
And
right.
the major? What sort of a man was he? Was he respected?
Yeah, I mean, his reputation wasn't bloodied in the Civil War. Gavras was his own man, knew when to follow orders and when to adapt them.
Not the type to violate Loak, then.
Well, that's a gray area.
Let's see. Alright. We did manage to get another magazine out of that, so... I'll take that. We're going to need as much ammunition as we can get for what's about to happen.
In the course of the firefight, the major used a mine dispenser. You can think of it like a portable minefield. This thing throws 14 mines as much as 50 feet, spread out across a wide arc of fire in front of it.
And they're designed to maim, rather than kill.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. They can still be lethal.
Yep. That's the thing about landmines too, is that by and large they are
The
designed to
major
maim.
ordered Costas to place mines too. Alexis, alongside a bunch of guerrillas, they were approaching from the north. At the same time, a NATO squad was moving in on their position. They'd been outnumbered 10 to 1. Like it or not, these mines represented their best, maybe only way of making it out.
Alright, I'm gonna save here. We may die over and over again here if we're not lucky. I am not going to disperse the mines.
Car, 400 meters north. Dimitiro, attack that truck, north. Truck, 400 meters north.
Yep, enemy vehicles on the way. I wonder if holding in the church is a bad idea. What if I hold here instead? No, I'm gonna stay close to him.
Amazingly, Costas never dispersed any of his mines.
Really? Why?
I don't know, he never said. To be honest, it's a mystery how he got out of there alive.
Consistently trying to find a better defensive position and not finding one. That is my issue.
Grenade! Dimitiro, attack that rifleman, left. Contact man! Contact soldier! Contact medic!
Yep. Yep. Figured. That's actually my first death in this whole little series. I'm actually surprised they didn't catch me with a grenade.
The graveyard, it would have made for quite a kill zone.
Let's go ahead and put our least magazine in first.
Clear.
This is where we hold them.
Amazingly, Costas never dispersed any of his mines.
Really? Why?
I don't know, he never said. To be honest, it's a mystery how he got out of there alive.
Did go ahead and save now.
Contact! Dimitiro, attack that rifleman! Man, 100 meters, left! Rifleman, 100 meters, left! Dimitiro, engage that machine gunner! Contact machine gunner! Dimitiro, engage that machine gunner! Contact rifleman! Incoming flare! Target neutralized! Contact rifleman! Contact, man!
Whew. They're trying.
Contact, man! Contact, medic! Contact, machine gunner! Grenade! Cover me, reloading! Fire at the soldier! Contact soldier! Dimitiero! Engage machine gunner! Just
And the
up ahead!
Latins. He took part in the fighting.
Yep, he'd been in the thick of it.
Keep my rifle out.
Contact soldier!
Back away a bit. Oh, come on. Yep, this is why this is difficult. If you don't lay down those mines, it makes it so hard. It's almost, and it's very, very
It
hard.
made sense for him to target the point of entry, choke point. You know?
Rifleman, 100 meters left! Soldier, 100 meters left! Rifleman, 75 meters left! Dimitiero, engage that machine gunner, right flank! Grenade! Contact machine gunner!
I mean, I could.
Soldier, 100 meters left! Contact soldier! Dimitiero, fire at the soldier! Behind us! Incoming flag! He's down! Dimitiero, engage that machine gunner to the right of us! Man, 100 meters back! Contact, man! Incoming flag!
I am dead. Yep. We just don't really have the, we just don't really have the ability to fight this. I think I'm going to lay down mines.
There was only one way into the church, so placing mines around the entrance, that would have been a pretty decent play.
Man, 75
To
meters
activate the
left
mine
flank.
dispenser, they could either set a timer or trigger it remotely.
Rifleman, 100 meters left. Watch the frag! Dimitiero, engage that machine gunner to the rear.
They
Contact machine
scattered the
gunner.
mines and sat tight, waiting for the enemy. Facing those kind of odds, it was the only thing they could do.
Contact soldier. Contact sniper. Watch the frag! Contact, man! Dimitiero, engage that machine gunner.
Burn another
soldier.
grenade. Some movement.
Contact, rifleman.
Okay, that guy's injured.
Contact, rifleman. Contact, rifleman. Running low on ammo. Dimitiero, rearm.
Yeah, I wish I could rearm. Seems like there's only a couple. But they're probably posted in such a way that if I go outside, I will be vulnerable.
There's a mine here.
And I probably can't go outside anyway because of mines.
You've mentioned Alexis was with the guerrillas. How can you be certain?
Costas recognized him. Don't forget, the guy'd been in the army. Running off, going native, joining the enemy, big-time notoriety. His face was known. A hero for some, traitor for others.
That kicks stuff off.
Dimitiero, engage that machine gunner. Left. Contact, rifleman.
But Demetriou, he didn't remember exactly what happened.
To Alexis?
Right. He didn't give any details.
Uh-huh. Probably because I executed him. You know what? I'm gonna go on the offensive. I'm gonna save here. That's why 5.56 in this game sucks. You saw how many rounds his vest just took.
Finally, a message came. Second helo was inbound.
They dispatched another.
I hit one of my own mines. That's exactly why you should not use mines. They don't distinguish friend from foe. They don't care. If when mine is set, Mr. Mine is not your friend. Same like if grenade is pulled, Mr. Grenade is not your friend. That was a bunch of misclicks on my part. I knew this one was basically going to be a slog.
Contact rifleman.
Finally, a message came. Second helo was inbound.
They dispatched another.
Yeah, it was a risk, sure, but government forces were in free fall and the major was important. They just had to get to a different LZ before reinforcements turned up and cut them off.
Ooh.
Dimitiero, fire at that soldier. Dimitiero, engage that man. Watch the frag.
Fucking frag.
Somebody help me. Dimitiero, patch yourself up. Fast mover, 600 meters, east.
Oh no. It's bad when you can see the bombs coming in. Can we get Gavras out of here? I'm gonna save real quick because there's probably mines in the walls.
There's a mine here. Clear.
Come on, boss, we gotta go. I guess I'm going without him.
Well, that was Gavras. He held the line till the government capitulated. And now, actually, he's involved in the peace process.
Hostiles! Dimitiero, fire at that parachute, northeast.
No, I am not shooting at the parachute.
And Costas, how did your paths cross? I'm still a little unclear.
Oh, Lieutenant Dimitriou. He came to IDAP, to our camp. The AAF provided us with information on the mines. Guy was a wreck, but his training had kicked in. He documented the minefields. Well, as best he could. But for Marcos, it was already too late. He'd already found one. Poor bastard.
And the wounded? Did Costas have anything to say about them?
Off the record?
Pen's leaving paper.
His name's come up in connection to a war crime. There's allegations he carried out a summary execution.
Okay. You've mentioned Alexis was with the guerrillas. Do you know what became of him?
He was killed. Andy, my colleague here, he said a NATO response team found his body. Apparently, it looked like an execution. I don't know. The whole thing's a mess, but, maybe it's something you'd want to follow up on?
It's really interesting to note that a lot of the dialogue here is different depending on how you do that last mission. What a statement that last couple of shots makes. Like camera shots and then a landmine explosion. Hits things home pretty well. Hits the theme home.
Honestly, Nathan, all this information, it's a godsend. You've given me loads to work with here.
It's nothing, really.
Now, there's just one last question I'd like to ask you. It's subjective, so take your time.
Sure. Fire away.
In your opinion, who's most to blame for the suffering in Orio Castro? NATO? The guerrillas? CSAT? The Altis armed forces? Or, I don't know, something else?
This is a really tough question, to be honest. But my gut instinct is actually to blame it on the AAF. They made an example of the town, relied on fear, intimidation, meting out collective punishment. Furthermore, when defending against NATO's offensive, landmines were randomly dispersed around the church. Also reports that wounded combatants were executed after the attack. I mean, that's the specifics that we saw in this, let alone all of the other context clues and things that we learned about the AAF in some of the other campaigns. So to me, a lot of the summary stuff that happens is due to the way AAF decided to handle the situation within their own borders.
I'd have to say the Altis armed forces. I mean, they wanted to wipe Orio Castro off the map to make an example of it, you know? It's one thing fighting against a resistance. It's another to make the civilian population pay for it. I don't know. As they clung on to power, they wound up scarring the very country they pledged to protect. And the folks here in Orio Castro, they're the ones that have suffered. They're the ones left to face the remnants of war.
Now, normally, I would not skip the credits
forgotten book?
Sounds legit.
But in this case, I'm going to, because there's quite a bit more to the rest of this DLC, and we're going to get to that in this episode.
Not something from the sky, so sounds too
Hey, Nathan, I have a link for you. It's to my article. Be gentle, it's a draft. My editor's running it by legal as we speak.
So, I'm just going to kind of slowly scroll through this. So if you want to pause and go ahead and read it, there's a little bit of background to the Arma campaigns in here, and but a lot of it is basically a retelling of what we've just done. Go ahead and close this.
Oh, right, yeah, the mines. I've still got work to do here.
Of course. Okay, well, thanks again for everything. Should I let you get on, or...?
I don't mind talking. Maybe I can tell you a bit more about the town.
So yeah, we're gonna hit the last of these and clear out all the mines.
Something that doesn't get mentioned too much? IDAP and other NGOs oversee communications between POWs and their families.
Really? In what way?
Snail mail, actually. We do our best to ensure any letter written by a prisoner arrives at its destination safely. Although, depending on who's running the detention centers, that can be easier said than done.
I had mentioned earlier about how the International Red Cross, how they deal with that in the real world, and that some people, especially on the American side, don't really like that kind of neutrality. And I got actually a lot of that information from the book In the Company of Heroes. It is a really, really good read. A lot of people are probably familiar with the incident in Somalia in 1993 with the Army Rangers, you know, more commonly now known as Black Hawk Down, you know, from Mark Bowden. But he did meet up with the pilot who had shot down to help him write basically write down the events of like what his captivity was like, and he kind of describes that in detail in that book. Black Hawk Down, In the Company of Heroes, and then The Night Stalkers is a really, really good trio of books, stemming from basically when the rest of the world kind of find out about the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, and kind of like going through their history and that sort of thing.
This town, it's no stranger to war.
You mean from the times of the military coup?
Of course, but no, I mean even historically. Whole generation lost their lives in WW2, Operation Torch, the Allied landings.
Ah, in North Africa.
Yeah. The British, they conscripted hundreds of Altians from across the island. Most of them never made it back.
Mac, got a quick update for you.
Listen, bud.
Yeah, so NATO have bagged and tagged their dead.
Jesus, Andy, anyone ever mention you got a way with words?
Not really. Anywho, it's a half-assed job. Still a bunch of landmines around. Worth checking out?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I'll head up there shortly. See what I can do.
And down here.
In your experience, do landmines pose a threat to wildlife?
Yes and no. Dogs, goats, sheep, anything like that, for the most part, they're too light. Bigger livestock, though, say cattle, yeah, they'd have a real bad day. For a farmer here, losing an animal like that, it's a big loss. Sadly, that can mean they try to deal with these things directly. And people? Of course, they're just the right size to trigger an AP mine. That's why our education programs are vital.
Head north out of town.
Kate, you remember that helo? The one Lieutenant Dimitriou told me about? The one shot down?
You found it?
Yeah, kinda hard to miss. Makes me think, though, NATO's invasion of Altis? I don't know how they got it so wrong.
Bad planning?
Could be. Hell, it's not like the Army had much fight left in them, so what else? It's just a shame incompetence isn't a war crime. It'd give you much more to work with.
Of course, we kind of know now that, you know, it wasn't incompetence on the part of NATO. It was Miller basically feeding, just Miller feeding bad intel. Well, because we're kind of, at this point, far removed from the East Wind device and all of that, I'll go ahead and kind of like describe what happened. So Miller and his team, they have been on Altis and Stratis. You know, they caught, once all the earthquakes started, they kind of caught wind, so to speak, on the East Wind device. And as long as CSAT was keeping it there to test it, they could attempt to track it down. Seeing as basically it's a weapon able to cause seismic activity, which I'm glad they never even try to explain how it works. But anyways, he basically prolonged the conflict here, or kept the conflict at a stalemate as much as he could, so that he could basically pin the weapon here. Because if NATO was going to invade, then, or take over, then CSAT would have pulled out. As long as the AAF and CSAT maintained friendly relations, it was going to be something that continued. And it isn't really confirmed, but Miller may have staged a false flag operation, which caused the AAF to turn on the rest of the NATO peacekeepers anyway, in an effort to flush out the intel about the East Wind device. And that's what they were doing on Stratis. And then later, when NATO started to invade, they fed them bad intel about the you know, airfield, which led to the initial invasion being a terrible disaster, and also because FIA would have provided very good intel. He basically betrayed the FIA and didn't, you know, mark them or note their involvement, so that, you know, NATO would basically friendly fire the AAF out of existence. So, you know, Miller was basically trying to kill everyone and play every side against each other in a game of 4D chess in order to get his hands on the East Wind device.
You know, Adams, he had a couple of guys on his team. One was a real comedian, Private Nelson. You probably heard about that episode with the goat.
Who didn't?
You know, after NATO lost its mandate, the guys used to joke that he was the one responsible for it. I mean, it was the final straw, right? And goats are sacred animals here. Just don't quote me on that.
Alright. Our last thing is in the church, so let's get in there and start diffusing mines. A really nice touch is that, I may not have mentioned it, but when you set up all the vehicles, when you set the AP mines down there, you know, whatever mines were left over down there, you know, they transferred to mines you had to clear here. Stuff like where UXOs were changed around just a little bit. And if you disperse mines over here, the mines you dispersed would be here if they didn't go off. So it's all nice touches, actually. They even left, like, the gorilla bodies here. No wonder he was coming here to try to find his brother. NATO just took their own bodies and left everyone else's.
I don't know if it's helpful, but, you know, I remember hearing about a bunch of NATO guys that wound up working with the guerrillas.
Really? Wait, you mean during the Altis invasion?
No, that's the thing. Beforehand. Rumor has it they escaped Stratis, made it over here, and joined up with the locals.
Thanks, yeah. I'll definitely do some digging.
That tip there is probably what led to, you know, Carrie, you know, them wanting to interview Carrie later on.
God damn it, Marcos. Kate, hi, just got a positive ID on our guy at the church.
Then it's confirmed. It's definitely him.
Yeah, it's Marcos. No doubt about it. Hey, Kate, I'm really sorry, but you know something? I'm not sure there's a whole lot more I can tell you. I don't want to ramble on.
No problem, and don't apologize. What you've given me here is fantastic. All those little details really add up.
Alright. So, we've seen all the memories. All that's left is to clear out the rest of these mines. You're the last one, aren't you?
Andy, you there?
What? Yeah, I'm not sleeping. What? What's up? We done here?
Yeah, I'll meet you by the van in 5.
All right, Mac. I'll get us packed up.
Only if it's not too much effort, Sleeping Beauty.
This is the other brother here. So this has basically been the Lost of War DLC. Like, it's incredibly sobering and it touches on so many human aspects that often, you know, just don't get recorded in the histories of wars. It's by far one of the most, you know, anti-war video games I've ever played. And war is terrible. sometimes it can't be avoided, and sometimes, you know, sometimes, like, a greater evil must be destroyed. But there's always a cost. Whether it be to, you know, the people of where it's happening to, the soldiers who participate, and the way that a lot of people turn away from their own principles for that sort of thing. And this is kind of like a really sobering look at it. By and large, I am the kind of person who does support Ukraine in the current war versus Russia. Russia had no justification to invade that nation, and you know, there are numerous other states that Russia probably would invade too, had, you know, had Ukraine immediately folded. And it is my belief that as long as the Western nations continue to support that nation in its struggle, even though my heart goes out to all the people who have to suffer, it's a fight that needs to be fought and ultimately won. And that is a belief I have. And war is terrible, and this I know from first-hand experience. It's just one of the great paradoxes. I don't have a solution. I think I'd be rich if I did. And anyone who, and I think anyone who's, you know, peddling a half-ass solution is just trying to take advantage of you. Anyways, let's just get going.
Hey, it's me.
Hello. Did I hear correctly? You're on the move?
Yeah, next job. Some truck hit an AT mine yesterday. Little ways out from here, I said we'd check up on it.
Okay. I'll not keep you. Thanks again. And good luck out there, Nathan. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye, Kate.
Every year, landmines kill or injure around 5,000 people, the vast majority of them civilians.